I don't know the date of their marriage. You can probably find that as when they married, but I do know that my father was born in 1901. And it's interesting that my grandfather, Daddy Hank, had married, so it wasn't too much earlier than that he got married. He probably got married in 1900. Might have been a little before that, but about that time. It's about that time in Oklahoma when they opened Oklahoma to settlers. At that time, it had been basically the Indian nation. That's where the Indians had settled from Texas and Oklahoma and other places. But they opened the land. They call it homesteading. You could actually go in there. The government would let you. They had a lottery. You could select lands. Now you read a lot about the stampede when they opened it. A lot of people could go claim lands, and after that was over, then they had a lot of land left. So my grandfather rode a bicycle, and don't ask me how that happens or how it works, but he rode a bicycle from Eureka down to Oklahoma City. There's a town outside of Oklahoma City called Rio Grande or Rio something. I can't remember exactly what it was. That's where the government office was. And he told some stories to my brother about on the way down there camping out. Remember he told me one time about he camped one night with a guy that he was really kind of afraid of. He had not armed himself at all when he went down. But they got to just talking, and this guy had a big, long sticker. They call it a big knife, real sharp, long knife. And he traded him for something to get that knife, and that knife is still in my brother's family when he traded that knife to come down. He came down. He brought with him, I guess, the money that he'd saved, because when he got to Oklahoma, he won the lottery. He won a piece of property, a section of land. What they did is they broke Oklahoma up into squares. They were 1 mile squares. And then the squares were broken up into 4 parts, and they called that a section of land. So it was a quarter of a section would be what you could get. You had to go down there and live on it and produce something for it, like 2 years or 3 years, and then it became your property. It was given to by the government. So a lot of people came down to try that. My granddad did that. And apparently he won the lottery. He bought a horse, and I guess he had enough money to buy a horse, and he bought wagons, and he bought some supplies of some sort. And he had a saddle horse as well. And he took the horse down in this wagon down all the way down to Tipton, Oklahoma. And Tipton now is in the southwest part of the state. It's right on one of the branches of the Red River. And found his land. He dug a well. And began to establish himself. The first day he was there, I think it was the first night was there, he built a corral. So he had to have some lumber with him so he could build a corral for his horses. But his horses got out. They got out. And my granddad, the horses were gone. So he didn't know what he was going to do. He kept looking for them. And about the time that he found out they were gone, another wagon came by. And this man was pulling with him also. He had a saddle horse, and the horse was tied to the back of his wagon. So this man offered the use, my granddad, Daddy Hank, the use of his horse to go look for his horses. That was interesting that in Oklahoma at that time down there, it was called the Great Plains. It was part of the Plains area. And the grass was, you can't hardly believe this today when you think about it. But the grass was tall that you could hardly see over it. My dad got on this. Now, he made this statement to my brother. I didn't hear him, but he told my brother. So it might have been a little bit of tall tale there. But he said when he was seated on the horse, going to look for his horses, he had a hard time sometimes seeing over the grass, which meant it was 6 or 7 feet tall. So it was a grassland area. And I know the prairies were full of grass. He didn't find his horses that night. So he came back. And that evening, of course, the horses were hungry. They came back to the corral. And so he kept he got his horses back.